Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's licensing subcommittee hearing. Present, we have myself, Councillor Mike Bland, Chair of the subcommittee, along with Councillors Jean Butcher to my left and Harry Mackenzie to my right, and Tom Mellish, who is reserve member today. Also in attendance are Brian E. Williamson, Licensing Officer, Peter Key, our Legal Advisor, and Lauren Wheeler, the Democratic Services Officer. Points of some housekeeping. There is no fire alarm planned for today. Should the alarm sound, please leave via the nearest available emergency exit, either through the doors into the riverside behind you or through the glass door here to my left. For guidance on making your own recordings, please see the notices in the agenda for this meeting. I would like to remind everyone present that this meeting is being minuted as well as filmed and made available to view in live and archive form via the Council's website. If we go into private session at any point, that filming and recording will cease for the duration of that private session. If you are seated in the public gallery, it is possible that the cameras may capture your image. If you wish to avoid being filmed, it is recommended you make a member of staff aware who can direct you where to sit. So we'll start the agenda. First of all, apologies for absence. Lauren, do we have any apologies?
No apologies today, Chair.
In that case, Lauren, do we have any substitutes?
No substitutions today.
And declaration of interests. Have there been any declarations of interest received in advance?
We've received none in advance, Chair.
Are there any further declarations? No further declarations. At this point, the reserved member may wish to leave, if you'd like to. Thank you very much for attending. Okay, item 4, minutes of the meetings held on 23rd of April 2025, 23rd of July 2025, and 27th of August 2025. Excuse me. Can I confirm that these minutes are agreed by general assent? Yes. Okay, those minutes are agreed by general assent. I'll explain the order of business, which is on page 15 of the agenda and which will be followed for this review hearing. First of all, we have under item 6, the Licensing Act 2003, the substantive item. That is the review of the premises licence for the Star of Bengal, 36 Harbour Street, Whitstable, CT5 1AJ. In addition to the panel and Canterbury City Council staff, the following people are entitled to speak at this hearing. The review applicant, which is Immigration Officer Mr. Harry Taylor, who's sitting in front of me here. The premises licence holder, Mr. Mohammed Ashraful Islam, who I believe is not present. Am I correct that Mr. Islam is not present? Okay. Secondly, an other person, and that is the business owner, Mr. Riaz Ali, who is attending here, but as I understand, does not wish to speak. Is that correct, Mr. Ali? Thank you. I'll explain the procedure for the review. In fact, I may ask our legal officer to explain the procedure for the review. So, Mr. Key, would you like to explain the procedure for the review?
I think the procedure would be that the licensing officer, Ms. Williamson, reads out her report. Then the applicant presents their application, which is for a review and for the particular outcome named there. Then there could be questions from the panel for the sub-licensing committee, possible questions from the licensing officer or myself. The other person who has made relevant representations has said they don't intend to take part, just to observe, so that otherwise they would have been able to ask. And then when that application has been made by the immigration officer, Mr. Harry Taylor, and those questions have been made, he can then, in theory, make closing submissions, which would sort of follow that, and that would anticipate that another person has said something. So he may not want to make closing submissions if he has dealt with everything in his application. Then the panel will retire and then return to give its decision. I think that's the procedure, unless anyone thinks there's anything missing from that.
Thank you for that, Mr. Key. I will just add to that in terms of persons that may be identified by name or whatever, if there's any wish to do that, i.e. persons working at this restaurant, then that has to be done in closed session only. So no names or identities of such persons will be made in public. We'll be clear about that. So if that needs to occur, then we will close the session to press and public. So anybody can ask me if they wish to do that at any stage. So that's basically the procedure that we will follow. And at this point, I'm going to ask the licensing officer, Brian E. Williamson, to introduce the application. So.
Thank you, Chair. So as you've already indicated, the application today is to review the premises licence in accordance with Section 51 of the Licensing Act 2003. The premises is in Gorrell Ward and the address is 36 Harbour Street, Whitstable, CT5 1AJ. The applicant was the Home Office Immigration Licensing Enforcement Compliance Team. The name and address of the current licence holder is Shapla Tandoori Whitstable Limited, at the same address as the restaurant itself, and the licence number is KEPR 00080. The hours that the premises is currently open to the public, Monday to Sunday, 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. And those hours are the same for live music, sale or supply of alcohol, and late night refreshment from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. So the premises is a restaurant and the application was submitted due to illegal working being identified in a licensed premises. We have the representation from the Home Office Immigration Licensing Enforcement Compliance Team. There was a representation received from the current business owner, which is included in the appendices. The subcommittee must have regard to the application, the Council's statement of licensing policy, guidance issued under Section 182 of the Licensing Act 2003, and any relevant representations, and must take such following steps in accordance with Section 52 of the 2003 Act as it considers necessary for the promotion of the licensing objectives. And those are to take no action, to modify the conditions of the licence, to exclude a licensable activity from the scope of the licence, to remove the designated premises supervisor, to suspend the licence for a period not exceeding 3 months, or to revoke the licence. And just as a reminder, the licensing objectives are the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, prevention of public nuisance, and protection of children from harm. And I believe that you will have all had an opportunity to look, but the appendices are the current premises licence, the blue notice that was put on the outside of the premises. And Appendix C is a copy of the application for the review, supporting documentation, and the representation from Mr. Riaz Ali. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, at this point, we have the applicant for the review, Mr. Harry Taylor, the Immigration Enforcement Officer. This is your opportunity to make that application, so over to you.
Thank you very much, Chair, and good morning all. First, can I confirm that all committee members have had a chance to read through our submission pack? Perfect. In that case, I won't read through the full pack, but I'll make a couple of key points before summarising the case and the reason for the review. So the ability to work illegally is a key driver for illegal migration, and it encourages people to break the UK immigration laws and provides practical means for migrants to remain unlawfully in the United Kingdom. It encourages people to take risks and enter the UK illegally, putting their lives in the hands of unscrupulous people smugglers, and leaves them vulnerable to exploitative employers. Illegal working results in businesses that are not playing by the rules, undercutting those businesses that are legitimate and playing by the correct rules. It also negatively impacts on the wages of lawful workers and can be linked to other market abuse, such as tax evasion, breach of national minimum wage, and exploitative working conditions. Working illegally is a criminal offence, and on conviction in England and Wales, an illegal worker may receive a custodial sentence of up to 6 months and an unlimited fine. Employing illegal workers undermines the licensing objectives, specifically the prevention of crime and disorder. Immigration enforcement is an intelligence-led organisation. We don't just drive around looking for businesses to target. We act upon intelligence that we receive, and there has to be significant concerns from that intelligence before we act upon it. We also don't routinely seek to refer for licence reviews, but we do in selected cases where we have heightened concerns. So I'll move on to this particular case. So in this case, we've got 2 people that we found working illegally at the Star of Bengal. So we received an allegation of illegal workers at the premises, and as a result, on the 11th of December 2024, our team attended the premises. When we arrived at the premises, we found 2 persons working illegally, as mentioned. So without mentioning names, I'll just give an overview of each individual. So the first worker was found in the kitchen. He was found to have entered the UK as a visitor. He'd made a further application to remain in the UK. However, it was found that he did not have a right to work in the UK, although the application was still outstanding. And it was confirmed by officers, not just by checking our systems that he had no right to work in the UK, but by the individual himself, who presented officers with an identity card provided by the Home Office, which clearly stated on it, no right to work. He stated to the officers that he'd been working in the kitchen as a kitchen porter for around 1 week, and that he received free food and accommodation in return for his work. Now, this raises significant concerns for us, as there was no mention by him that he received any actual monetary payments, only that he received food and accommodation, meaning that he was not receiving money and potentially being exploited by the employer. The second worker was also found working in the kitchen. He was found to have entered the UK illegally. He'd made multiple applications to remain in the UK, all of which had been refused, and at the time of the visit, he was on immigration bail, and again, he had no right to work in the UK. He stated to officers that he helps out at the business, does not receive any monetary payment, but again, was provided with food and accommodation in return for helping. Once again, as with the first worker, this is a significant concern that he's not receiving monetary payments and rather only receiving food and accommodation, lending the potential that he is being exploited. Following our visit, we referred the case to our civil penalty compliance team for consideration to issue a civil penalty. On the 27th of October 2025, the civil penalty team issued the Star of Bengal with a penalty of £45,000. To date, no objection has been received and no payment has been made, and the case has been referred to a third-party debt collection agency. The non-compliance with the civil penalty is one of the factors that we took into account when considering action against the licence. Immigration Enforcement submits that for all of the reasons above, and because of those engaged in the management of the premises employing illegal workers, a warning or other action at this time would not be appropriate, and that it is more appropriate to proceed straight to a review. So the outcome sought. So Section 182 guidance at point 11.27 outlines certain criminal activity that may arise in connection with licensed premises, which should be treated particularly seriously. This includes employing a person who is disqualified from that work by reason of their immigration status in the UK. Point 11.28 states that where a review arises from such activity and the licensing authority determines that the crime prevention objective is being undermined through the premises being used to further crimes, it is expected that revocation of the licence, even in the first instance, should be seriously considered. All of that being said, we recognise that our role is to bring the concerns to your attention as the local licensing authority. It's your area. You are the ones that answer to the local electorate and represent their interests. So unless I can answer any specific questions, I don't propose to take any more of your time at the moment. And I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for the summary of your application. And yes, we will ask some further questions, and I'll ask panel members if they've got any further questions. I note that the action was taken against the previous business owner, Mr. Islam, who is not present here. Are you aware of the current status of Mr. Islam's company?
I am not aware of the current status. I think at the time that the submission was made, it was still trading, but I'm not currently aware if that has potentially changed.
Okay, I think it might be worth looking into the current status of Mr. Islam's company. In considering the information put before us in the pack, I had a quick look myself, and my understanding is that Companies House has actually got Shapuri Tandoori Whitstable Limited under active review. So there may be something you might want to continue looking at in terms of that. Okay. Can I ask what subsequently has happened to the two persons that were found to be illegally working? Are they still in contact with you?
Without checking right now this second, I can't tell you, but from my understanding of what happened at the visit, they were both placed back on immigration bail with strict conditions that they have to report to a reporting centre. But without checking now, I wouldn't know if they're actually adhering to that immigration bail conditions.
And that reporting centre would be in Croydon, would it?
I believe that is the closest reporting centre to where they were found, so that would have been where they would have been asked to report.
Okay. Right, I mean, you are aware that the current business owner is somebody entirely different from the person that you are taking action against. That's correct, yes?
After reviewing the submissions made, that is correct. Obviously, we are seeking today for the premises licence and DPS revocation, which obviously the DPS, as far as I'm aware, is still the same individual. They've not changed the licence over at the moment.
I'll ask our licensing officer to explain that. So, Bryony, would you explain that?
Yes, that's correct. So the premises licence holder and the DPS remain the same. There have been no changes to update those.
Okay. Right. I don't think I've got any further questions myself at this point. So do any other panel members have questions?
No.
Thank you for being here today. I did just want to ask, so in terms of the welfare of these people, I mean, like, do you have reason to believe that the license holder was complicit for this? Like, they had intentionally, like, created the situation, or do you believe this was a fault of oversight that...
I don't know if we can say for certain whether it's deliberate or not. From speaking to the individuals, they seemed happy with the arrangements. Not that that makes that right, that even if they are happy with it, but we're very limited in what we can do to protect them if they're not seen as being victims themselves.
And do we know what the connection was between these workers and the license owner who employed them? Like,
From memory of the visit, there wasn't much of a connection. I think they'd found out about the job through hearsay and had turned up and were offered to work there with no checks being conducted.
Okay, I think we've read all the papers and we've heard your application, and we haven't got any more questions that we need to ask of you. Our legal officer, however, does, and I'm going to ask Mr. Key to put his question.
Thank you, Chair. Just wanted to understand the company structure here, because the premises license holder is Shapler Tandoori Whitstable Limited, that's right?
As far as I'm aware, yes, that is correct.
And the officer shown on Company's House for that is Mr. Islam.
I believe that is also correct.
However, the civil penalty that you've referred to was imposed on a different company. It wasn't imposed on Shapler Tandoori Whitstable Limited. It was imposed, according to your report, on a different company called Star of Bengal Whitstable Limited.
That appears to be correct.
And do you know the relationship between the two companies, Shapler Tandoori Whitstable Limited, the premises license holder, and the subject of the civil penalty, Star of Bengal Whitstable Limited?
I do not. I believe our civil penalty team would have done their due diligence to try and establish which company was responsible for employing the illegals at the time of the visit. But I don't know how they come to them conclusions, unfortunately.
And then just for the record, it's right that Mr. Ali, who made representations, is an officer in a third company called the Mogul Restaurant Whitstable Limited.
I believe that is also correct.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for that clarification. At this point, we'll move on in the agenda, and we'll move on to the question of other persons. The current business owner, Mr. Riaz Ali, is here and has the right to make a representation if he wishes. But I'll just confirm, Mr. Ali, it is the case that you do not want to make a representation. Okay, so Mr. Ali does not want to make a representation, so thank you for your presence anyways, and we'll note that you're happy not to make a representation. At this point, this is normally the point at which we'd allow the premises license holder, if they were in attendance, Mr. Muhammad Ashraful Islam, to make a representation, but as previously indicated, he is not present. This brings us back to the immigration officer, Mr. Harry Taylor, because this is the point at which you may summarise your application. And after that, the subcommittee will retire to consider our application, and we'll go from there. So, Mr. Taylor, back to you.
Thank you, Chair. I won't take up too much of your time. Obviously, I've described that we found 2 illegal workers at the premises. Clearly, the premises is being mismanaged. There's clearly multiple different companies that are all linked to this premises, but ultimately the action we're looking at taking today is against the premises licence holder and the DPS, not against any individual company, which is why we are still seeking a revocation of the premises licence, and if subsequently a new company takes over and wishes to make a fresh application for a new licence, then of course that is within their rights. But at this current time, we do not believe the current licence at that premises should be valid and that it should be revoked, given the mismanagement that happened under the DPS.
Okay, many thanks, Mr. Taylor, for summarising. What we will now do is we'll retire for perhaps 15 minutes, I would suggest, maximum, to consider our decision, and then we'll come back to announce it. Okay, thank you. Okay, well, we'll recommence. The subcommittee has retired and considered this together with advice from our legal advisor, Peter Key. And what we have decided is to agree with the application to completely revoke the current licence, and we do so in full knowledge that that is the right thing to do. We wish to express, the committee wishes to express that we have got deep concerns around illegal working, and we have deep concerns about the exploitation of labour, and deep concerns about the kind of manipulation that can go on in return of people that are quite vulnerable, including asylum seekers. So we are appalled at what has happened here, and we are absolutely confident, and we want to thank the Immigration Department for bringing this case. We're confident in our decision that the right thing to do is to revoke this licence. We have noticed that there are a number of companies involved in respect of this current premises, but at the end of the day, whilst the civil penalty may have been put against one company, it is Mr. Islam, who is the premises licence holder, who was responsible for ensuring that at that premises alcohol is served in a completely legitimate way, and that the working practices that work at that premises are undertaken in a complete lawful and proper manner. And we note that Mr. Islam did not even turn up to this hearing to explain his actions or what he has done. We've got some more detailed aspects which around that, which I'm going to ask our legal advisor, Peter Key, to explain. So I'm going to hand you over to Peter Key at this point. Mr. Key.
Yes, so the licensing subcommittee has announced its decision, which is to revoke the premises licence, which means that alcohol cannot be sold at those premises. In reaching this decision to use the power to revoke under Section 52 upon this review brought by the Secretary of State, that's to say at the Home Office, the Immigration Enforcement Officers, the licensing subcommittee has taken account of the licensing officer's report, which was presented earlier, and of the application and the oral submissions and answers given to questions by the immigration officer who attends today, Mr. Harry Taylor. The licensing subcommittee has also taken account of the relevant representations made by Mr. Ali, who attended but chose not to speak, but those representations don't bear on the actual issue today, which is the illegal working that took place. It's noted that the premises licence holder is a limited company called Shapler Tandoori Whitstable Limited, and that the civil penalty, which remains unpaid, was imposed on a company called Star of Bengal Whitstable Limited. And as the chair mentioned, the illegal working took place during a time that the premises licence was held by Shapler Tandoori, and no one, including Mr. Islam, the only named officer on the company's house information, no one from Shapler Tandoori has attended today to explain how this situation arose of Star of Bengal Whitstable Limited having illegal workers there. And because of that, the only appropriate action to take is revocation. So all representations, written and oral today, have been taken into account. There will be a decision letter setting this out. There is a right of appeal under Section 181 of and Schedule 5.2, the 2003 Licensing Act, and it's required that that is notified orally at this hearing, and the detailed reasoning will be set out in a decision letter, which I hope will be issued this week. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, well, I'd like to thank all those in attendance and thank Mr. Taylor for the report and the application put to us. We have no other business, so I'm going to hereby declare this meeting